For week 2, our focus with the U8s will be on our deception and skill moves, as well as 1v1 and 2 versus 2 scenarios. So we're continuing to give players more confidence and reps on the ball. You may remember in week 1, we worked on body feints, pullbacks, and scissors. We're going to continue to work with those skill moves, but we're going to introduce 2 more that players might consider this week and build on some similar activities. So the first activity that we'll do, I call spaceship warm-up, so we'll change the theme from dinosaurs to aliens in the second week here. But the idea again is that we will have cones scattered throughout the field. Those are represented by the orange cones here. And then players, the numbers don't matter, in yellow, who have individual soccer balls here. So we need to warm up our spaceship navigation skills by moving around other ships represented by the players and asteroids represented by the cones. So in order to get by a ship or an asteroid, we need to try a skill move to get by. So we're going to start, I'll say number 1 is body feints. We will have worked on this in week 1. So we'll work on dropping our shoulder hard, stepping to one side of the ball, and then touching to the other side of the ball to get around a cone or a player, an asteroid or a ship. So that'll correspond to the number 1. When I call that out, I want players to try body feints, or we'll call them jukes, to get around cones. Number 2, when I call that out, will be our force field move, or scissors. So again, we will have done this week 1, but we're going to try a scissors move to engage a defender or a cone, and then go the other way. So scissors will be number 2. Number 3, I'll call our asteroid dodge, which is going to be a roll push or a rake. So we'll demonstrate this, but this is going to be where the sole of our ball goes across the front of our body to drag the ball across and then push with our other foot to get by that cone or player. So that will be number 3. And then number 4, we'll call our escape hatch. So that is going to be an L turn, which will demonstrate as approaching a cone, pulling the ball back with one foot, and then touching the ball to the side with that same foot to escape and go a different direction. That one might be a little challenging for the U8s, but we want to start to introduce it to get them to understand that they can play behind a standing foot, because as they get to older age groups, we will utilize more skill moves that operate behind a standing foot. So again, 1 will be body feints, 2 will be scissors, 3 will be roll pushes, 4 will be L turns, and then I'll call the numbers out randomly. So I might call out 2 and they're doing scissors at cones. I might call out 4, then they're doing L turns. I might call out 2 and 4, but I want to keep them engaging on these skill moves before we get to our second activity. Our second activity I call Alien Escape 1v1s for this week. It's a 3-gate 1v1 game where an attacker will receive a ball from a defender across a playing grid and attempt to dribble through one of 3 gates. The defender is trying to win the ball and dribble, counterattack rather, through one of 3 gates in the opposite direction. So in this case, the defender is player number 7, will play the ball in to player number 5. Player number 7 becomes the defender. Player number 5 is the attacker. Player number 5 can score by dribbling through this gate, or this gate. So a gate in the left channel, a gate in the center channel, and a gate in the right channel. And we do that by engaging the defender, dribbling face up and engaging them at speed, then slowing down and changing our pace and direction with a skill move. So any one of the skill moves we tried tonight, a body feint, scissors, a rake push or roll push, or an L turn, we can try to influence a defender to lean one way or commit toward defending one gate and then go the opposite way and dribble through a gate. So if the attacker manages to get through the gate, the attacker gets a point. If the defender instead wins the ball, I want the defender to become the attacker and dribble through one of 3 gates on the opposite half of the field. So we just switch the roles then. So then the attacker who is dispossessed becomes the defender. The player on the ball is the attacker, and they are trying to do the same thing. So they might be going directionally at one gate, try a skill move that gets the defender continuing to commit in that direction, and then escape going another direction. When we finish that rep, we go around the outside of the field and we go to the opposite side. So if player number 7 had started in this gate, they go around the outside and they come to the back of the line of this gate. If player number 5 had started in this gate, they go around the outside of the field and they go to the back of the line on this gate. We're going to keep track of our points. Players get a point every time they get through a gate. That amount of points gives us a chance to escape from an alien base. We'll next play a game I call Space Buddies. So this is just a 2 versus 2 game. The setup for this is we will use cone goals. So the oranges on this field represent cone goals. I've got 2 vertical fields, one on each half of the field. The yellow cones just represent division between the cone goals. So I've got field 1 here, field 2 here. So in this case, team yellow will start with the ball in this line, playing across to team orange. So team yellow will dribble in, and then they are going to kick the ball, try to drive it as best they can. We'll work on that if we need to have players dribbling in instead. That's fine. We can always modify the game if we need. But we want to start working a little bit on ball striking as well, because that will come into play in a few weeks here. So team yellow will play the ball across to team orange, and it just becomes a 2v2, 2 goal. Anytime the ball goes through a goal, it is going to reset or off out of play. It is going to reset with the next 2 players, and the ball will always reset down on this end. We'll switch. Players will go to the back of their own line, but we'll switch who is playing the ball in about halfway through this game. So the objective is to understand if player number 7 here is engaging this defender, and we have 2 defenders in yellow going towards 7, getting player number 7 to understand, okay, in this situation, I might not be able to use a skill move to get by 2 players who are really close to me, but if we hold our width with a wide player and pass them the ball, they can maybe then score by dribbling through the goal. Now, in this case, if the player number 7 plays player number 8 here, and player 5 drops to defend, I want our player 8 to try to win 1 versus 1 here, and not just pass this ball back because they see a defender. So we still want to encourage players to take their 1v1s, but maybe start to think about where their teammate is. If instead player number 8 has the ball and there's 2 defenders here, that's where we start to consider, okay, maybe I passed to my teammate instead, but the default should always be to take our 1 versus 1s and engage the defender with the chance of beating them to dribble through. So after the ball goes through a cone gate or exits wide off of the field, players will go to the back of the line they started with, and we'll just reset with the ball then, and the next group of players, and we'll play the next round. About halfway through again, the ball will switch, so we'll have players on this side playing the ball down to players on this side.